Hello, YouTube. Joe Holbrook here, the Cloud Tech Guy. Wanted to thank you all for joining. I know it's been about 2 weeks since I posted. I was down in wonderful Cusco, Peru with my family over at the entryway to Machu Picchu, essentially Cusco, Peru. So with that said, I'm back ready to talk cloud and other technology related items. So one of my favorite questions I always usually get is, how do I know what cloud provider is best for what? Who do I choose? And again, any good technical cloud architect or even technology architect, developer, whoever you're talking to should always give you the answer, it depends. And it is what it is, because again, without the right information, it really is hard to know what the customer needs. However, every one of the cloud providers has distinguishing benefits and very clear restrictions or challenges, I would say. A lot of that just comes down to what you're trying to do. So let's go ahead and talk about why you may want to choose Google Cloud over other platforms. So here's my top 5 that I sort of believe, and I think I could have thought of a few more. And again, a lot of it just comes down to the audience you're talking about. This is more general. And so I'm not trying to talk to developers. I'm not trying to talk to CIOs. I'm not trying to talk to the cloud admins or anyone like that. Just a broad over, here's sort of some things to think about and where we go from here. So I think the number one reason that Google Cloud is a great choice is if you're a developer. Google has really gone out of their way to cater towards developers. And so everything from the documentation to the environments they support to the development languages, you name it. It caters towards developers. I mean, even if you're a cloud architect, you still don't have any clue what the hell they're talking about when it comes to their Google Cloud Platform documentation. It's so developer-centric that you have to know the jargon to understand it. Not that I totally don't, but one of the complaints I typically get about Google Cloud Platform is their documentation and training. It's clearly got a leap to go before it's enterprise. But with that said, I'm not here to talk down Google Cloud. I'm here to talk it up. But again, the main reason is if you're a developer, clearly Google has gone out of their way to make you happy. So some of the things that I think are pretty important to talk about when it comes to developers is around how fast, how easy it is. One is, of course, around the virtual machine. So if you're a developer, the last thing you want to do is manage the infrastructure. You just want to do your testing, you want to load your data. You want to go watch the starts track during your lunch, and that's the deal. So again, it's blazing fast. Another reason is live migrations, and I'm combining this in one reason because I think, again, there's many different things that make it one benefit. Live migrations. Now, one of the benefits I think that Google has over some other cloud providers is the fact that you can do a live migration of a virtual machine. Now, this is a big deal, especially if you're doing a lot of testing, or DR could definitely make your life easier. So again, just one of the things that I think is worth pointing out. So again, just one thought. So again, one of the things too I did want to point out about live migration is that, let's say you're doing testing and you want to test a patch or update software or something like that. Again, you don't have to worry about like a reboot or anything of that nature. So that's a big deal. Another reason would be is that the Google Cloud Platform network is actually extremely fast. And it is built on Google Fiber. It is on the Google backbone. And I like this quote that was actually by Will Shulman, if I said his name right, co-founder of MongoLab. He talked about the network, essentially at Google I/O, saying it's blazing fast. The other thing is that it does have a private distributed backbone between all the data centers. So again, it's blazing fast. You're going over Google's backbone in most cases and not over the internet. So you remove a lot of that latency, a lot of that jitter, and a lot of that, what I would call inherent insecurity that you might get over the internet as well, even if you're doing what you're supposed to do. Number 4, and perhaps my favorite, is around the big data and machine language. Google is the leader in this area. There is no way that the other providers will likely catch up anytime soon. But again, you never know. I don't want to say Azure or Amazon is going to catch up because they have some great services and products as well. But again, BigQuery, for example, very powerful tool. You could really do your queries really fast around the big data capabilities. Extremely robust, and not to mention, it's actually very cost efficient as well. So with that said, I just think, again, Google is definitely doing some things pretty efficiently. And this is a better product than Google had released earlier. Excuse me while I catch a little fly or something, a little mosquito. Again, back in, I want to say it was 2000, probably 12, maybe 2011. Google had released a product called Disbelief. Yeah, sort of funny, huh? And again, it was a similar product in the sense that you could, create neural networks and, do a lot of machine language capabilities essentially. But again, it wasn't what we have now with like TensorFlow. TensorFlow was actually a purchase by Google. And again, I think it was a good choice that Google sort of opened it up as an open source to the developer world to build that loyalty. Again, developers like free, and developers build enterprise apps. So I think Google saw that opportunity to get TensorFlow and make it open source to the developing public, essentially. And that has created a following even in a few years. So with that said, neural networks, deep learning, machine language, this is the talk. Data engineering is where a lot of it's at right now. Lastly, put number 5, industry leading, simplified pricing. Now, again, I know, for example, Amazon, they've adjusted their pricing quite a bit, but the reality is Google is still cheaper for a lot of the services. And also, too, the pricing is again what I would call much easier to understand and much more granular. It is cheaper. If you do a side-by-side comparison of let's say an AWS instance in Virginia versus like a Google Cloud Platform instance, I believe in East 1 would be South Carolina, Charleston area. You'll see that, for example, if you get like 16 CPUs and let's say 30 gigs of RAM, the cost is approximately 40% less with Google than it would be with Amazon. But again, a lot of it does with pricing really has to do with the regions that you're using. On the other hand, if you look at some of the regions overseas, I don't know if the pricing is significantly cheaper or not. I didn't do my research and convert currencies and all that fun stuff. But with that said, that's just a quick thought. At least in the US, it clearly could be an advantage. Okay, so that's my top 5. I want to thank you for joining. Let's go ahead and play around with TensorFlow or something, get trained up hopefully here in the near future. But again, my thought is Google is clearly a top PaaS platform as a service. No question about it. Do I think that they're going to be the leader when it comes to infrastructure as a service? I don't think so. I don't think they have a chance at beating Amazon. But again, I'm frequently wrong, as the wife says, so who knows? But right now, the market share, Google's got barely 15% of the market, depending on who you talk to. Amazon has over 60%, and then Azure, again, some of the analysts sort of, I think, for example, RightSkill just had a report. I think it was right around 20 to 21%, perhaps. Don't have it in front of me. But again, I just, Google, again, solid platform as a service. But I personally wouldn't recommend to my customers right now to put it for infrastructure as a service just yet. And there's a lot of refinements that I think Google needs to do. So that's why I did another video to talk about the top 5 reasons not to use Google Cloud Platform. So with that said, thank you for joining. Happy Googling. And I hope to see you around at another event or perhaps a training event or session. Take care.